Hello and welcome to another episode of Hedgehog Makes. My name is Austin, aka Zombie Hedgehog, and today we have the brand new Sovol SV06 ACE. Wait, brand new. SV06? Wasn't this thing already out like a year ago? Yes, it was. Sovol has they've backtracked. I think it's the first time that a company has, maybe not, but backtracked to a previous version to side grade or upgrade. I don't know. If you can think of another company that's done something similar, leave a comment down below because I'm curious. Why would Sovol take one of the most popular printers, SV06, and make it better? Why would they do such a thing? Oh, well, I just answered my own question. Because the SV06 itself was one of the best printers for the price, and it still is a very good printer. So what they've done is completely overhaul it, Klipperize it, and it's bananas. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be bananas. Now, is it perfect for the price? Probably not. This is a $300 printer. Oh, we have that. Is that really? It's a $300 printer, which is absurdly cheap what you get. And yeah, we're going to see how it works. So if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. Hit subscribe for more content like this. I do a bunch of build streams of custom printers, and sometimes unboxings of printers like this. I will have some more fun unboxings coming up this year. But if you're not watching this on YouTube, you are on Twitch because I'm streaming this live on Twitch. Yes, once again, I am not live on YouTube. If you thought I was live, then you're wrong. So if you want to watch these live, check my Twitch link in the description out. Give me a follow there. We have a manual. It's a chunky manual. But I will not need this manual today. Usually, I only use these as a Z offset tool. I rip out a page and I, do the paper test. This printer allegedly does not need any adjustment to get a perfect first layer, and we're going to put that to the test. So what's the inspiration for this as we take apart all of the parts? Wow, this thing is very well packaged. Did they open up the right side? I think so. Usually there's like a instruction how to unbox the thing. Let's see if there's instructions. Nope. Remove gantry, remove bed, install it. Okay, well, we'll take all the parts out. So where did this printer come from? That is a great question. It has a modern UI. It is a load cell to be determined sensor. Has a screen. Thank you, KB3D Chris, for gifting a sub to Shadell over here on Twitch. Thank you so much. Where does this printer come from? I am guessing that there has been some amount of inspiration from the Prusa Mark IV. And actually, the fan layout's very, very similar to how Prusa typically does it. So we're going to see, is this thing a cheap Mark IV? And is it faster than a Mark IV? We'll have to test that out one of these days, because I do have a Mark IV inside the house. I don't really use it too much. It's not that easy to really, use compared to a Bambu, but it's still a functional printer, right? I don't know how to remove parts. Oop, I ripped off the cover. Okay, that is the cover for the tool head. It's very well packed. I'll give it that. This thing is not going anywhere. But I have the tool head here. Wow, this is very... Am I opening this right? Okay, there's a foam here. This is very, very well packaged. We have all the stuff here. I just don't want to damage it. What is this part of? Okay, this is not part of the Z-axis. Okay, here's our Z. And you'll notice something immediately. What is different from the regular Sovol. Something extremely important that you might not immediately notice. Did you know what it is? I want to pause for a second. Leave a comment down below. What is drastically different and will make this thing really good? It's these. These are SG bearings, I do believe. SG bearings. And they allow for ultra smooth motion on the, at least it should. Ultra smooth motion on this axis. It's not the most smooth right now. I wonder if it has to be worn in, or maybe I'm just like moving it manually. But yeah, these types of bearings are, I don't know if I can show you, but it's on a smooth rod. So instead of the terrible bearings that go around the rods like they're using on the Z-axis here, those things are, I don't know why any printer has one of those, because they're not stiff. They tend to be crunchy and not move smooth compared to the other types of rails. So regardless, I think this right here is probably the best style of motion system if you don't care about weight. This whole gantry is very heavy now because it's, you know, you have all that extra mass. So compared to a typical 2020 extrusion, this takes more mass to get the same functionality as opposed to a typical V wheel setup. But on a bed slinger, the x-axis does not really matter how heavy it is. It doesn't at all. It kind of matters how heavy the tool head is, but you want the stiffest possible printer. That is your #1 goal. If you're designing a printer from scratch, oh, this is magnetic, that's why it came off. If you're designing a printer from scratch, before anything else, you make that printer beefy. You can always compensate by adding larger motors, thicker belts, etc. But you cannot fix a wobbly printer. You can help it, band-aid it, but you cannot fix a printer that is not stiff. So starting off with a nice solid printer is the way to go. And I think Sovol has really shifted gears in this printer. Stay there. As I'm trying to unbox this thing. I don't like how the build plate is kind of just on here. It's a double-sided black texture PEI. It's nice. Although it would be cool to have some more smooth options with the printer. Because if you're printing stuff like maker chips, you do want a smooth plate in some circumstances. I think we can just take this out here. I'm just trying not to damage anything. And I will try to read all the instructions as much as possible. But you know me, I'm a great I'm a great tester of how would you say that? Is it if a product is designed really well, I should be able to install it without looking at the instructions. What is that called? The word for it. But yeah, I do that. I break things by not looking at instructions, which could have been but manufacturer helped. Do you save the foam for other projects? Sometimes if it's like a really nice thick piece, but no, this is going right in the trash. Okay, I should probably keep the box, in case I have to return the printer. But if I didn't mention it, this printer was sent to me directly from Sovol. I have no intention of getting rid of this. I plan on using it, and I don't plan on ever shipping it back anywhere. So the box for me is going away, but for you, you keep the box, you put all the foam back in there, and you put that in your storage. Intuitive. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. If a product is intuitive enough, then I should be able to just put it together. And in this case, I might even be able to do that. But we're going to read the manual just to make sure I'm not missing a certain step. Remove gantry, as well as 5... Okay, so there's a box here. Put some stuff in it. We have a power cord. We have the world's worst looking white filament. I mean, it's not even white, it's cream. Why? Why does every manufacturer do this? Into the trash. I'm not even gonna use it. I don't get it. I don't care that it's a $300 printer. Include a reasonable size of colorful filament. Include Sovol Blue. Did you know Sovol actually has Sovol Blue PLA? Include that! Box. I did have a bet beforehand and I lost. So I will have to use all of the included tools to build this thing. I can't use my own today. So that'll be fun. What did they come with? A bunch of regular Allen keys, drivers, tweezer. That's nice. Oh, they have your little maintenance kit. They have the push stick for the top, and then they have a acupuncture needle for the bottom. That's nice. Screws. Wow, there's oh my god, a lot of stuff in here. They have this thing, which I still don't understand what this is for. I know it's a scraper, but not on PEI. Oh, this must be our snips. Oh, what's this? Which style of blue snips is this to add to my collection? I was getting low on new unused blue snips. This style, I can't tell which one I like more. The Play-Doh ones or these ones? These ones are bigger, but I think these ones are sharper. I kind of like both of them for their own various reasons. I think this one's cheaper though. Which ones do you like more? What's your favorite? I'm going to use this one though. Metal grease. Metal grease. Metal grease. I'm immediately inspecting this. Is it just lube? Yeah, it's just like it's a thick lube, which I don't know what that would even be used for, because all the rods should be using a light oil and not a thick grease. What is this? It's like I don't know. What is this? This is our lubricant, which I would not be using that for rods if I can help it. And then this, I don't know what this is for. Maybe thermal paste for something? Thermal paste? I don't know. Lots of zip ties, like it's a lot of zip ties. One replacement nozzle, which this is a custom nozzle. You won't be able to go out and buy one of these as far as I'm aware. Hopefully I can find some hardened nozzles pretty soon. We have a spare wiper, and this looks very, very similar to a Bambu style wiper, which is good because those work very well. So one of them comes installed, and that's a spare. I'm gonna try to keep all these parts in line here, and I'll put back on the cover for the tool head. Maybe. Why don't we just get right into it, into the inspection period? So as you know, I always inspect as much as physically possible with these printers, checking for any type of, engineering defect or, improvement or really good things that manufacturers have done. So let's get right into that. There's not much really going on here on the Z-axis. We have nice custom extrusions. This side has a channel for a wire for something. Oh, probably the filament sensor at the top there. Yep. The plate seems fine. I think this has to be worn in a little bit, but that seems smooth. It seems relatively stiff from the factory. The rods are pre-greased. You have our belt tensioner here. That's nice. The parts are really good. In fact, I have a custom file that I designed to replace these rods for my Z-Sync mod for the regular Sovol, which I have now removed. I don't have that accessible anymore. But same kind of hardware, and that's where this whole thing is important. I think they've taken as many parts as possible from the original SV06 and reused them, and that's why this thing is only $300, because seriously, there's a lot going on here for the price. So let's go and maybe zoom in a bit on this area here. And I'm going to show you something. All right. So all of the controller and stuff is all kind of connected. But let's start with the toolhead. Do you think it's going to be a simple build and install stream? No. Nope. Let's do an analysis. So the cover is magnetic, because mine just popped right off. That's cool. Not necessary, but I like that. The cover just pops off when needed. I'm afraid that it might pop off during fast movement, but you know, make sure that's on right, and that shouldn't be affected. It is using a proper strain relieved USB connector. It has an actual screw in here, so this thing's not going anywhere. Looks like it's reasonable. Ooh, the plastic though is not very tight, but I'm sure with proper or normal movement that shouldn't be an issue. On here, there is a custom board with connectors for all of our stuff. I'm seeing one open connector that says fan 1. So this right here could be an accessible fan port right here that's not being used, because there's only one fan on here. And I'll get to the fan in a second. Everything else looks fine. This is special. What is going on here? So this is the extruder motor right here, under where the Sovol thing is. So that's the extruder motor. It has a pass-through for the manual drive gear, the thing that spins around 10 million millimeters a second. It pops right off too. So if you want to replace that with your own front cover, that's probably the most popular mod people do for the spinners. You just pop it off and then put your own design in there. But the back here, wow, this is interesting. So what have they done? Let's start with the hot end. The hot end is a Bambu style heater. For the first time in a while, I've seen this implemented in a new way. So it's a Bambu style block, but with a full length nozzle, right? Like a full volcano-esque nozzle that goes through it. I have not seen that in this heatsink, so they must have just drilled it through more. And I wonder if that's going to help out with flow compared to the stock design of the nozzle. I don't know if you can put like a copper plated or a nickel plated copper nozzle in there. Like, would that help out with flow? It's very interesting. And then what's even more interesting is right above here, this is a sensor. It is a pressure sensor. I don't know what kind specifically, but this is what's detecting your probing all through here. So I believe the internal is floating for the filament path. And remember, this thing doesn't really move, it just kind of gives pressure. And the kind of the stock way that these nozzles mount, no, it's kind of different. Never mind, it's kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah, it's very curious how they have this. Well, it looks kind of stiff. It feels, You know, it feels like it's very, very stiff. You can tell when a heater is not stiff. So yeah, I don't know if it's some type of load cell or other sensor, but this is really good. If this thing works the way that's supposed to, this is a game changer, right? I really think it is. They are using a standard style of heater. Actually, this looks like a slightly bigger, no, maybe the same style. It's very reminiscent of a stock Bambu setup, for at least like the heater. And I don't know, what do you guys think in on YouTube comments? Is this a good heater to put into new devices? Well, we have that. We have the probably a strain gauge, and then on top of here is weird. This is strange. So this is metal, and this is metal down here on the side. And if I undo the thumb screw here all the way, to retension that, we can see that it is a, yeah, it is a, in fact, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see inside? No, it's very dark. It is a planetary style. Yeah, you can kind of see it if I twist it. See that in there? Planetary. So you've taken the same planetary style of gear reduction, which, as we know, is the regarded as generally the cleanest gear reduction. So you get the best possible prints off of a extruder that has a planetary drive gear, generally speaking. And it has large gears. These are large drive gears. These aren't BMG style. And the larger that this gear is, generally speaking, again, the less artifacts you'll see in your print. So this is an extremely optimal setup for both extrusion and your hot end for a really crazy price. I love that. So, and these even look hardened too. Like these aren't typical. I think they're coated. Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, the actual chassis for this is all metal. Yeah, this is all metal too. All this is metal. So this whole thing is a heatsink for the hot end. And then the fan on here, it uses a blower fan that blows air through the fins to cool off both, I guess, the cool zone for the filament, and maybe, yeah, not really the extruder. Very cool. I am very impressed with this setup, and it's crazy seeing new designs like this, innovative designs. This is innovative in the year that we're in. So just try to get the, guess the tension. They always over tension these, and you don't need that much tension for that big of a drive gear. So we'll stick with about here. If we see issues, we can always tighten it. And then to close off this whole beautiful looking tool head, the fan. Now, it is unfortunate that the nozzle itself is way back here. So when you print, this is what you're gonna see. Like, you won't be able to see your print. I really wish it was the other way around, where the nozzle was right out front. Can you imagine that? If this was the front, that would be perfect. Because you can see your print, right? That would be so good. And I honestly think it would have been possible for them to flip around the whole array. That's okay, because allegedly, this thing will be printing really good. And if you're smart, you'll actually face the printer away from you so you can look at it from behind. So let's put this thing back on. Which way does it go? I don't even know. Probably like this. Is it like that? Yeah. No replacement socks. That's one thing I wish more companies do, is give replacement socks. Although this thing is already better than Prusa because it has a sock to begin with. Looks good. Now the one question is, does this board have a, what is it, a bootloader? Does this have the ability to be flashed with straight up Klipper? Because if Sovol decides to sell this thing as a spare part, that could be really, really good for, you know, for future projects. Although it only screws in at 3 points and they're really close together. That's kind of odd. We'll have to see how they implement that. But I do know why it's designed like this, and I'll explain that as I assemble it further. Very cool so far. While we're at it, might as well check the board, because this is, I think it's their first style like this. Can we get in? All the cables are very attached to each other. So we have this injection molded part. Is it just like snapped in place? Is it screwed in place? On, off. Don't want to use their parts. This is on, off in the back. Wait, switch. Klipper runs on the tool head. Yes, generally, well, not Klipper, but yes, Klipper. The toolhead board has its own MCU that is running Klipper, and it's getting commands. The way that Klipper works is you have your host computer, aka the server, and it sends commands to any MCU, any further processor. So pretty much anything with a compatible MCU can be flashed with Klipper, right? And then be accessed and sent commands. Even little tiny accelerometers for toolhead boards, those are technically running Klipper. Oops, I lost my screw here. Oh wow. So first thing, we have a fan that's kind of not held in place. What the? Oh. It has snapped off. Okay. That is unfortunate. So, oops. Did anyone see what happened there? I don't even recall. But, let me zoom out a little. Zoom up. The fan right here, the two little points snapped off. So it was right on here, like this, but it got snapped. I wonder if I pulled the cable or something, but that's very, yeah, that'll have to be fixed. I think it'll kind of hold itself in place. Maybe it was even broken and shipping. Maka, thank you for your 4 months of subs. I appreciate it. Curious, but let's just take a quick look. There's not really much to see here because of how wire managed it is, but I can see that the drivers are using very hefty heat sinks. I love to see that. What's curious is that there are 4 drivers here. 4 drivers. But if none of them are for the extruder. So Sovol has made a dual Z printer where it's properly implemented, and each driver has its own independent stepper. So we'll be able to do a thing called a Z tilt, and I'll show you guys that if I get this thing built ever. Other than that, somewhere in here we have a computer, probably this guy right here, and that's running some type of Linux operating system that is hosting the Klipper server. So let's see if I can get this thing back in here. Oh wow, yeah, so that fan's gonna be kind of floating in there for now. I'll have to fix that. Not that big of a deal, but kind of annoying to become broken so easily. So I think that's the main analysis. Let's check out the power supply. Power supply is a generic Shanjing 24 volt, 15 amp, 360 watt power supply. So this is a 360. It's black. Oh, it is set to 230 by default. We'll have to switch that. Always check your voltage. Very easy to swap though. and it came safe at 220. Oh yeah, it's probably a maker base board. Kind of looks like one. They have the green the green heat sink. That's kind of a maker base color. So let's get into building it because I want to see this thing work. We're gonna push it. We're not really gonna push it. But speaking of pushing it, how do you guys feel, everybody? How do you feel about printers coming, any printer coming with Klipper installed? Because it's been a very wild ride over the last, I don't know, I think ever since Bambu released their printer, companies finally realized that, oh, okay, well, we have to make our printers fast now. And the only easy way at the time of making a printer fast was installing Klipper, because you could use input shaping, and Klipper itself is a generally faster firmware. Marlin does have some, some speed capabilities, but I do think that Klipper is easier to kind of work with in that instance. Custom Klipper is the problem, yeah. So here's the thing. You're tasked to build a firmware for a printer. What do? Well, you take a look at Klipper as a whole, and you say, okay, what do we use? Do we use the latest release of Klipper, or do we use an older, stable version? Yeah, so most companies will use the older, more stable version. I don't know why. Is it because they're, developing their own software for certain things? Probably. Because unlike Marlin, you have to write, like Python software and different various things. It's a very different process, and I'm sure it's easier to use what's out there versus start from scratch. Oh, I could use one of these. This is fun. I think I'm doing this right. We have some long screws, and we're screwing into the side of the gantry. So this printer was made with little cutouts. So you kind of slot it in. I don't know, out of all of the printers I've built, there seems to be a new competing standard for the best possible Z-axis assembly. It's always weird. I don't remember, I never had an original SV06, I had the Plus. I don't remember how the Z-axis was assembled on there, but this seems pretty good. It definitely seems like it would be reasonably stiff for what it is. And you need this printer to be stiff because we are gonna be pushing Klipper on it. And Klipper does a few things, but the main thing is it allows for faster acceleration. Remember, print speeds are kind of capped. I always have a hot take that most printers print too fast, and that's true. It's very, very, very true. Most printers print too fast. Even Bambu, the gold standard of fast Core XY printers now, their stock profile is too fast. But what's different and what makes these printers seem much faster than they actually are is acceleration, both in jerk and just raw acceleration. So how fast a printer can change speeds on square corners is called the square corner velocity in Klipper, and then how fast everything can just reasonably accelerate. So upping both of those things using Klipper with input shaping, that will significantly increase your print times a bit. Not as significant as you'd think, but it's still quite a bit faster. And one of these days I'm gonna do a proper video explaining how to actually, speed up your printer. You'll never, ever, ever want to hit like the ludicrous mode on your printer or set it to 200% speed. Please don't do that. If you need an explanation of why, maybe I'll post something on my Patreon just to have it out there. But please do not just increase the speed of your print on the printer. Slice your prints properly, you'll have much better results. Don't go plaid, no. You can only melt plastic so fast and cool it. Melting is not the issue, it's the cooling that's the issue. And you've seen what companies have tried to do. It seems like CPAP is not quite ready for the common, general market from, what I've experienced. It's not ready. It's too loud. It might work well, but it's too loud. And not many people want to have a 3D printer that is as loud or louder than their vacuum cleaner running next to them. Like, that's not feasible, at least with the current implementation of CPAP cooling. So what do? Well, you strap on the biggest possible fan you can and then run it on the threshold of just enough cooling, but not too loud. That is probably the optimal thing to do. And even having multiple fans has seemed to help out. I get very good cooling with something like Dragon Burner with dual 4010 fans, very small fans, but because the fan and duct is right in line with the hot end, it doesn't really lose any static pressure and seems to cool very well, especially using high-powered fans. I have to sometimes turn down the cooling for PLA because they're kind of absurd. So the actual method in which your fan is cooling matters a lot. Now this style, I'm going to call it Eva style because that's what it reminds me of. You have the one fan in the back and it blows into two ducts that it has kind of a 360 effect going on here. They've really split it. I don't know, I have to assume they have, but I don't know if they've done any software simulation of the airflow, but to get something that looks like this, you probably have had to, somewhat. Looks very simple though. I like what they've done. It looks like a decent implementation. So we'll have to test it. And I'm curious what the noise is going to be like, because I've seen a couple of unboxings already of this and it sounded loud, but we'll have to see. Had a layer shift, oh no. Oh, that sucks, I'm sorry. Need to learn more about how to slice models properly. Yeah, a lot of people do, and that's not, that's not knocking on anyone, but there are correct ways to slice things, and a lot of stock profiles come incorrect. It's very strange to me. You'd think that you'd want to give a profile for your printer that's the most, the best looking. I don't care about raw speed. Raw speed is great to show off your printer, but the second I actually use a printer, I don't really care about, 50 extra millimeters a second. I don't care about that. And I'm sure the majority of users don't. All you're doing is looking for super glue. I might have some around here. All you're doing is you're making yourself look bad as a 3D printing manufacturer for releasing a profile that doesn't produce clean prints. It doesn't make any sense to me, besides that first initial impression. Like, you've already bought the printer. You're not going to buy the printer, print something on it, and say, oh yeah, this isn't fast enough, and then return it. I don't think anybody is doing that, really. And they can include two profiles, a fast profile and a quality profile. I don't get it. Yeah, I guess we'll just maybe unplug this fan for now. Yeah, I think so. It's just the fan for the heatsink, and I don't think it'll be super necessary because we're not running it for a long time, but I will make sure to glue this back in place onto the pegs here, or I guess the screw here. Unfortunate, but it happens. Put that aside. And I actually have to screw this back in. I wish they had like a little lever instead of having to screw it, but I'll screw it if I can find the screw. Here it is. And then the Allen key. for the screw. All right, that goes on like this. Kind of a cool system. Little, you know, lever. Is that the right size? Is this the right size? Was that the right size? I mean, I don't even know. Oh, here it is. This one. They're not labeled. Give me back my labeled drivers. I'm gonna leave an affiliate link for Wear drivers down. Please buy these. Just buy these. These are so much better than trying to use little Allen keys. Although if you're just assembling it once, it doesn't really matter. Alright, that goes in the back here. That attaches in like that. Just kind of pops in place, and it seems like it's secure. Doesn't even look like it's screwed in, which is good enough. Easy to assemble. Ooh, camera module. Oh, that's what that piece is. Okay, so very interesting. This has a camera. And no, this probably won't be the best camera in the world. It looks high quality, but we'll see. This is for more of a observation, if anything, but we'll see how well it works. It's nice to have that option, though. We always complain about companies not including cameras, and they have. And that goes on that little, the Z-axis, XZ joint, which is a cool way to implement it. Kind of how Bambu has theirs. So how do we install that? It goes on here, and I think it just slots in place. Ooh, you'd think they'd want to install the hot end first, but maybe not. Probably because I have the Z-axis all the way up. So this must just slide in to the side here. This just slots in somehow. Alright, so you push it out. And then this is a little 4-pin. And that plugs in right here. That is for oh, interesting. Wow, that's for the stepper. So that's interesting. So the plug is here, and there's a cable that goes inside of here all the way to that side, instead of having to run the cable on the other side, because typically these boxes are on the other side here. That's a good way of doing it. I like that. Very simple. All right. Then we have this. I'm guessing next. Go back to this view here. So this is next, and I keep putting the feet on the wire. I don't like that. It's like one of the cables. Maybe I'll have to zip tie it, but it goes right on the feet. And is it wobbly? No, it's not a wobbly printer. But if you have this back right here, to make sure that the cable's not under the feet. Standard USB camera. Oh yeah, maybe you can replace the module. This piece just snap off. So it kind of wants to come off. Is it magnetic? Or am I gonna break it? No, it comes right off. I don't know if it's a standard board, but looks reasonable. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. But yeah, just having a camera is nice. We did that. Extruder kit. We need 3M 3x8 screws. See, I can read sometimes. Okay, step 2. So, curiously, the extruder is only held in 3 points right here. That's it. And I think it has a very little index pin that goes in here. Oh, 2 index pins. Okay, so 1 index pin right here, and then one right here. So 2 of those. Maybe I can show you on this camera. Ugh. Kind of a low camera. Sure, we'll go here without disconnecting it. So you have, is it anymore? About as high as I want to go. Can I lower this? Wow, that does not want to go down, which is good. All right. So right here and right here, these 2 little flat points, those are indexes that are built into the heatsink on here. So we have the heatsink against a metal plate in those little slots, and it has some wiggle room, right? But once you screw it in, that's probably gonna keep it in decently. But it's only in these 3 spots here. So yeah, you get to align it real easy, and then screw it into the top there. And that's what I'll do right now is get that screwed in. And the reason why the tool head is built like that is look where the nozzle is for the, for the hot end. It's on the back. So we mount it like this. It is directly against the plate for the mount. So it is going to be as stiff as possible by mounting it like that. So metal on metal. And then we have this right here. So that's probably necessary because this is a strain gauge, right? You're putting a ton of pressure up directly against here, which is as physically close to the gantry as possible. Well designed. I like that. Now, what I'm curious is, can this be easily implemented into another printer design? That I'm not so sure about, because I like this tool, by the looks of it, much better than the SV08 tool head. It looks far better, especially with that sensor. Man, I want to see a mod that takes this tool head and put it on the SV08, or maybe an SV08 ACE. I would love to see this style tool head added if it works well, which we'll have to see. Yeah, it just looks a bit better implemented. Now, what I'd probably like to see, maybe this is just me, but a different ducting system. I'd like to see fans on the outside facing in, but if this works like that, it works. Right, cooling comes first and then style. But style-wise, I think this looks pretty good. No giant, bulky, over molded front, which they could have easily done. They could have had a whole cover on here, but it's fine. You don't need a cover. It looks good. And wow, that is stiff. That is extremely stiff. Look at that. That's putting a ton of force into it. So this nozzle right here is not going to move around. That is extremely stiff. Because we have a nice stiff mount on these SG rails. SG bearings. They're not rails, they're just standard guides. But yeah, that's what I call stiff. Out of the box. Perfect. Why not linear rail? Well, look how this is designed. V-wheels have a major advantage that the profile is so low. Look how low profile this whole thing is. It is right up against there. Where if you had a linear rail, a standard rail like this one right here, that style, you have the rail against whatever thing is here, and then you have the block on it, so it sticks out a lot. This is a good system. It's what more 3D printer manufacturers need to be using. I want to see this on the Z-axis of a Core XY machine. Like, that's as far as I would go. And maybe even as the Y-axis on a Core XY machine, right? Why are we using bearings? Why not use these things? They last so much longer with zero maintenance. Seriously, I love these things. Remember way back in my King Rune KP5L video where they were using these types of rails. A little bit different, way more complex, but similar style. And yeah, it was good. So I like it. Looks good. Let's continue. A lot of good so far, and I really like that. No foam under here. I know Modbot had some foam. Oh, is this foam? No. Oh, wow. There's no way. Is that in the manual to remove? Okay, I don't feel bad for Daniel anymore. Or I do feel bad for him. This is absurd. Are you ready? Okay, so you can see this right here. That's under there. But on the back, I don't know if you can even see it. Do you see the issue here? You see that? No, you don't. There's foam. Foam in here. Wow. Yeah, now I can go all the way back. Oh man, that is something. All right, one downside. Good, we got that out of the way. I'm just going through the guide, and there's nothing in there that mentions the foam besides remove all packing material. Yeah, that'll have to be added in future revisions for sure. Some more than a few people are gonna run into that issue because it's black. Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, clip that part of the video. All right, what's next? I think we have everything pretty much assembled, which is good. We have the, okay, this is also very, very important. You see this cable right here? I should have checked this before, but this has to be a certain way. So if I unscrew this and rotate it, it'll be twisted. You want to make sure that it is as flat as possible, so when it goes back and forth, it doesn't, you know, bind or hit anything. So I think this looks good. It's a little jank. I'm expecting very quickly someone to come up with a, you know, a little like springy part that goes on here and up right here. Something that like boings around. I think that'd be a really good good way to train the cable upward. But this looks fine for now. We'll leave it like that. When installing the nozzles, make sure to check if the harness rotates. I have no idea what that means. All right, next is the screen, which is this, kind of a very basic screen. You want to do the peel on camera. Nice. B-roll. And that will go into where? Oh, like that? Huh. I'm afraid that'll get snapped right off if you put too much pressure here. If you like accidentally lean down on it, that's not the best of mounts. But it looks easy enough to make your own little mount that goes here. And then the cable. This cable goes in here. Kind of a weird cable. But it's not weird because maybe it is weird. Is it just a screen? I don't think that the actual, yeah, no, this doesn't have the, sometimes this thing right here has the processor, like the Pi equivalent. But in this case, I don't think so. Anyway, this will go in here like that. And is there any specific routing for this groove? I don't know. I don't like how that's just dangling there. Ribbon cables are my worst enemy. They always tend to break. But no, it doesn't look like it does anything. It just kind of sits there. So be very careful with this entire setup. Not the strongest implementation at all. I'm gonna make sure to plug in the Z-axis though. while we're over here. And I'll do it for the other side as well. Curiously, that's not plugged in to begin with. Oh no, because we installed it separately. So that's plugged in. And then we have this power bits. Powery electrical bits. So this probably screws in through the frame. It does. This takes M4x20. Yeah, ribbon cable. I know, like, you'd think that they'd be able to use USB-C cable, but it's probably just the connector of the screen itself, and they didn't really have, I don't know, choice. Remember, this is a $300 printer. There was no luxury consideration, you know, as much as possible. This is very cost optimized, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Because there's two ways of cost optimizing a product, reducing costs. One, you make it bad. So you remove features, you decrease the durability. In this case, it seems like they've kind of made all the right decisions. The cheap power supply, I'd kind of wish if it was a, you know, more name brand supply. That's always a nice thing. But, you know, most of these printers have a cheap supply to begin with. They use injection molded parts, which is actually better than 3D printed parts. I hate to say it, but all these style of printers should be designed once properly and should just use injection molded parts. There's no real reason to make minor revisions over, you know, 5 years. I just switched to 110. Thank you. That was the first thing I did, and we'll know quickly if it doesn't turn on, right? Yeah, I like this. I really do. Like this is how you engineer a machine that is cheap and probably works well. Now, if I was to make any improvements, maybe the fit and finish, improve it slightly. You know, it feels a little bit cheap. Some of like the covers are kind of, you know, just snap on, and it's all open back here. Like there's a lot of little things they could do to improve the aesthetics, but there comes a point where you got to kind of match the whole thing to the price. And at $300, man, I'm still shocked if this thing works as well as I'm expecting it to. All right, so we're going to plug in the power. Make sure not to have anything plugged in at this point. Nice little rugged connector here for that. The bed looks like it doesn't want to hit anything. Just kind of rubs though. I don't know if you can see that. But during a very forward travel move, the cable rubs a little bit against here. Again, that should probably be trained to come out more straight like this. So it's up in the air. That would be preferred. See how it kind of wants to stay in the air instead of dangling down and hitting the back part. Minor, very minor. Even if it gets stuck in here, it looks like it'll, ooh. Yeah, it can kind of get stuck here and get caught. Let me show you that on the other camera. So if you're printing and somehow it gets in here like that, it'll get caught as it tries to go all the way back. But that's not really that big of a deal because if it's trained properly, it'll just want to stay like, you know, above. But I can see a little bit more rigidity in this part because it just hangs here. It's just zip tied on. Yeah. The actual bed, very, very, very properly strain relieved. I like the look of that. That's really secure. And while I'm back here, look at the bed. Custom bed, not a standard bed. It has what looks like identical setup to a Bambu. So finally, another manufacturer that has this kind of wear strip in the back, and then the wiper. So I'm guessing it will kind of clean itself using this and the back here if the macros are set up like that. That's nice. I like that a lot. I don't like the brass nozzle that it comes with. I'm assuming it's brass. It looks like a brass nozzle. Is it a brass nozzle? I've looked up a couple of other YouTubers' streams and they've said brass. Does it come on the parts list? It says nozzle. Oh well. Build volume 220 by 220 by 250. Probably should have mentioned that before. But this is not a huge bed, which means it's going to be nice and fast, hopefully. The actual bed, it is rigid mounted. Oh man. It is very interestingly rigidly mounted. Probably for a good thing. It's mounted in 4 corners and then 2 in the middle as well. So this thing is very, very fixed. And because we're not printing ABS, I don't think that'll be an issue. I think that'll be good. Sometimes over-constraining the bed can cause issues down the road, but I think that's fine. I really do. The one last thing I want to check, does the bed have a built-in accelerometer? I wanted to investigate that. And it looks like it does. Move this up a little. I think it does. This right here, that must be an accelerometer. So that is also how you do it. You mount an accelerometer on the bed. Bed slingers are not dead. We know that. They're cheap. And finding ways to make them last longer, well, not last longer, but be more relevant is great. And adding an ADXL on the bed is a no-brainer, right? Ooh. Is that a 9mm belt? Is that a 9mm belt? I think so. M9. Interesting. Just looking under here, it seems like the bed is very rigid. And they are using that grease on here. It's very greased, very smooth too. I don't have them side by side, but moving this compared to my Prusa, night and day difference. Much, much smoother. The Prusa feels crunchy. It's just those bearings they use. They're junk. I don't understand why they keep using them. This is how you design the bed of a 3D printer. Very nice thick rail. Solid construction. I think there's, yeah, the front is actually, besides this back plate, there's a metal connection here. So the whole frame itself is metal. And then they have a cover plate here that's aesthetic, probably. Do we like the SV07 a lot? No, we did not like the SV07 because it went back to V wheels. No, not applicable in a fast machine. The bed having V wheel, I think this at least had V wheels, and now you see why I complain about V wheels so much. Go to this system. SG bearings. Bambu did it on their A1, and it's great. All right, enough of that. I think we're ready to turn this on. I think so. Are we ready? Probably the spool holder, which I've been told it's a rotating one with bearings. Yeah, I don't love this style because it tends to over-roll your filament, meaning the filament will it'll spin faster than you're actually extruding, and then it'll cause tangling. This is what the SV07 should have been. And I think, hot take, that this printer came out at a good time. It was able to mature. I think a lot of the original Klipper based printers were not ready. They just were not ready. So the more Klipper based printers we see, the better they're gonna get. They've learned from their mistakes. So I do apologize if you were a beta tester, a paid beta tester for one of the original Klipper machines, but it had to be done, right? In order to get to this point here, people had to buy the products and test them and use them in mass, the mass. And there's only so much company can do to prepare for completely swapping over to a brand new firmware ecosystem. But time has passed. We've had 2 years since the original Bambu X1 launch or something like that, over 2 years for companies to catch up. And it's happening. Companies are starting to slowly catch up. Whatever, good enough. Just a spool holder. All right. This goes in with this piece right here. You can just print one of these. Not a big deal. It's just a standard hole. Every Creality machine ever uses this style of roller. Looks like a Z motor not connected. We have a connection and a connection. They are both enabled. Oh, there is the sensor. I didn't really read the instructions. The Z filament sensor has to be plugged in there and it's untaped from the top here. Ugh. Don't like the tape, but it comes right off. I wonder if this top piece, yeah, so this top bar is not metal. This is purely injection molded. And I think that's a great move because it allows you to mold in all the features that you need. So the custom, interface for these supports, it gives you a spot for, mounting your spool holder. But they should put like lights or something on here, like have an integrated light bar. Maybe not for this price, but it'd be nice to see. All right, we have the filament sensor. It's kind of loosely on there. And I think now we're good. I think we're good now. Let me just check if there's anything else to do. All of the, oh yeah, now this is where you go in and do all those other connections. It tells you to switch the voltage. It even gives you the function list for the menu. That's really nice. Like, okay, I want to go to filament cool. It means I got to go to control, filament cool. Great. Are you guys ready? I don't know if I'm ready. Let's go to here. First boot up. What are we gonna see? Probably helps I have a power cord. I should have one handy. My generic power cord for every bench printer. Luckily, that's the standard and everything. All right, powering on in 3, 2, 1. Boom. Just like that. Sovol, so custom splash screen. That's nice. The hot end fan is on full blast. I wonder if it's always on. Actually, I wanted to show this off real quick because this thing is initializing and doing its thing. Klipper, Chinese? I don't know what's going on here. The hot end fan did turn off. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, no dark mode. Startup. After entire initialization process is completed, plug in power. I think we missed the the setup. Like, we were supposed to get to this menu. Did it just miss the setup process? Klipper turns some fans 100%. Yeah. Well, that just means it's temperature controlled, which is good. I'm gonna turn it off and then back on again and see if we get that menu. Maybe it was like a first time power up. You saw it, right? I'm not going crazy. But it should allow me to hit start and then select my language. It does not. Oh no. Do I have to update the firmware? Is that what we have to do? Update the firmware or something? Could it be? Well, I don't need Wi-Fi. Or, I mean, I can just set it up manually, right? Like, what do you have to do? Language, Wi-Fi. We can just do that stuff manually. So let's start with Wi-Fi. I'm gonna click Wi-Fi. Oh dear. It is in Chinese. Okay, there's my list of networks. Oh no. Well, let me let me look at the context menu. Where's language? All right, it's under system settings. Wi-Fi connection, system settings, language, English. Haha! Look at that. See, we did it, chat. Oh, English. Oh, this must be okay. And now it says changing language. Aha! We did it. We changed the language by using the handy-dandy flowchart. So if you ran into that issue, maybe that's a good thing to clip and share. But now we need to go to calibration. So system calibrate. I wonder if I should go to restore factory settings. I wonder what that would do. Aha! That did it. We got our start menu. Okay, well, we went forward a little, so now we'll go through the start process. I want to see what it does, right? I'm curious. Start. Ah, English. Next. It's like it was already set up. Sovol trying to hack into my brand new printer. Remember, this is a review unit, so I don't know. Definitely was a standard user experience though. Nothing special. Gotta hide my secret password. Let's see. I love Bambu. Okay. Now that that's in, oops. Bambu. This layout is not good. It's atrocious. Atrocious. Okay. Jeez. Tip connecting. Tip connecting. That's a great tip. Oh. All right, we are connected. I have an IP of 218. First thing we do is go to 218. And we get Mainsail in Chinese. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna cheat for a second. I'm gonna go to another instance of Klipper. Should have about 10 million Klipper instances running. Where are they all? Oh no, did I close out of them? Oh, shoot. Now they're right here. Let's go to another one. Let's go to the same context menu and find where I set the language. Okay, it's the second one under printer name. Okay. So it should be this one right here. So English, great. We're gonna name this SV06 ACE, and that renames it up here. Nope, back to reset. Done. Dashboard, I'm gonna immediately change everything. I put the machine here and miscellaneous there, and I put extruder here and the macros there. That's how I lay it out. That's my typical Mainsail layout. But yeah, this is the, if you're not familiar with Klipper, this is our web interface for running everything printer related. Everything gets done through here. Now you can do it through the screen. I should probably still continue to set this thing up, but everything is done here. So that's good. I'm not going to link OBCO, so I'm not worried about any of that. Let's go back to the side view. Yeah, let's go here and let it do its thing, I guess. Self-check. Start. That's what I'm curious, like what it does for a self-check. Checks homing. Gonna home at 0 millimeters a second. This does look like full Klipper. In fact, while this is doing its thing, I'm gonna go into the there is no package manager. Okay. We are on Klipper version 12.0-267. I don't know how new that is, but we're on Klipper 12. Oh my god, is it still homing? Okay, it kind of makes sense because we're running a strain gauge, but man. We do have a lot of, wow, that's interesting. A lot of printer configs that are old. Be curious to see what they've done there. I'm gonna hide the backup files. Don't need that. That could probably be adjusted. In fact, I have the Klipper config here. Although this is gonna be special, right? Like it has a lot going on because, well, maybe not a lot, but there's Smart Effector. That's a category I've never seen before in my life. Smart Effector. Oh, fan check. Fan check. I wonder if it has a tachometer in there. All right, let's see. TMC 2209 extruder. Extra MCU. Run current of 0.6. That's reasonable. It does specify a whole current of 0.4. Thermistor, my thermistor, so they're using a custom thermistor. Heat bed, pre-PID tuned. Smart Effector is a load cell probe. Interesting. Okay. Here we go. Fan. So we got fan. It does have a tachometer. Yep. This is a smart fan. Very nice. That's very good because it can report if it's spinning at the right RPM. If it's not, then they'll throw an error. That is great. But that is for, okay. Yep, the hot end fan also has a tachometer. Controller fan does not, which is fine. And it's set to turn on anytime anything is running, which is kind of a cool config. Heater bed and extruder. Stepper X, Y, Z, stepper C1. Oh, that's one way to do it. Oh, a fancy homing override. I like to see that. Oh wow. Yeah, so X, Y. There's a lot of if statements for homing, which is something that I need to personally get into. What is it doing? Oh, nozzle and heat bed is rising. Okay, so it's doing a temperature test. There is Z-tilt set up in here. A bed mesh is set up, of course. Everything looks exactly as I'd expect it to, which is good. Printer. Max velocity 600, max XL 20K, max XL to decel 5,000, max Z velocity 15, max ZXL 100. And then they've input shaped it previously at X34 MZV and then Y33 MZV. So all of this to say that this seems pretty typical. They do, under resonance tester, have a an Excel chip for the X and Y. And right now it's running the resonance test for the bed. Yeah, I like it. Seems like they've kind of just, I don't know, set it up in a way that makes sense. That's kind of shocking. I'm shocked. And they're using Mainsail, which is my preferred firmware interface. How much is it? Well, it is regular priced $300. $300. That is competing with the legendary FlashForge 5M, 85M. Same build volume too. Actually, this has more because it's 250 in the Z-axis. So yeah, this is going to be a compelling option for someone who's looking to just get a printer that works. It is $280, but that's a sale price, right? It's a $300 printer. If you get it for less, great. Over-the-air updates of one click, that's kind of cool too. It makes sense to do. But yeah, I saw this printer and I said, yeah, I need to get my hands on this because it seems like it has just about everything that it should need. And it does have open sourceness that has a lot of stuff in here. So I'll let you determine whether or not that's sufficient. But it does have a GitHub with all of the relevant stuff in there. And now we're doing our first, let's switch over to here. Our first stuff. Stuff is happening. It's happening. What is it doing? Not really watching. Let's see. It is tapping the back there. And it's tapping even slower. And it's scrubbing itself on the back. Now it's not putting a lot of force on. Now it's wiping in a certain wipe pattern that looks reasonable to be wiped. It's pressing itself against the back and waiting for the nozzle to cool off. Set to 130C. So yeah, they've kind of done exactly what they should have. They cloned exactly what Bambu does. I mean, honestly, that's great. Like, I really liked how Bambu handled the nozzle cleaning on the A1, and this is quite literally a copy-paste of it. Is it ready for multicolor? That is a great question. Because this runs what seems like kind of normal Klipper, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. In fact, this would be a decent platform for the co-print setup. Maybe if they make a bigger version of this. Yeah, Box Turtle. I don't know if that requires you to install software, which I'm guessing it does, maybe? You at least have to flash Klipper. So you need SSH access, and I'm not 100% sure if SSH access is provided, aka a password to their OS. It does have a camera. That's what that module right there is. Is it configured in here? Can I see it? Let's see. Camera. It does not. Interesting. By default, it does not have a camera enabled on the dashboard. It has Moonraker Obiko, which is included with something camera related. The only reason why I mentioned Bambu a lot is because that is the competitor to pretty much every printer. It is doing Z-tilt right now. So it's doing a double probe. Very slow. But it seems like it is probing at reasonable points. It's a snappy printer. It feels like it's good. It sounds good too. You can tell that it kind of stops when it gets to a certain point. Almost like it's running input shaper, huh? Okay, it is now Z-tilted. It took 4 retries, I think. At a tolerance of 0.03. It's rehoming in the middle of the bed, as it should. Yeah, it's un-Z-tilted. Oh boy, now we're gonna do probably the world's slowest bed mesh. That's the thing about the speed in which some of these sensors operate at. So I'm guessing because we're on kind of a flimsy bed compared to a more traditional Mic 6 or a thicker bed, I'm guessing it has to probe slower. The way that Bambu handles it is weird. Their sensors are in the bed, I believe. I don't know. How does that work on the A1 though? I don't know. What is Obiko? It's one of the remote streaming services that allows you to kind of turn your printer into a cloud printer. Bed isn't straight. Bed's straight enough. It's perfect. It actually has a really good indexing system back there, so you can't really mess up where it indexes. I like it. What are we going to print on here? I think we are going to use their firmware and slice something. Not their firmware, their slicer. So, Orca Slicer 2.1.1 is included. Now, if I open up Orca Slicer, what version am I on? No Benchy? No, we don't do a Benchy. We'll do something different. Actually, now's a really good time to come up with something. I should always have the stuff beforehand, but I don't. Send it and then run it at 2x speed. Yep, that's exactly what I like to do. Yep, totally. Definitely don't rant about that. About Orca Slicer 2.1.1. Okay. I highly doubt this is updated. So how do we do this? I forget what Modbot had to do. I remember that his setup was kind of jank. But let's grab the SD card and I'll work on this while it's doing its thing. A lot of zip ties. Like, why were there so many zip ties included? There's nothing to zip tie. Like, literally nothing. Weird. Do a first layer test, see how well it actually is. You can run a swatch truck. Actually, that'd be a great test for this. Running a swatch truck with their default profile. Let's do it. If I can find the little flash drive. Hopefully this will do a bed mesh that is not this slow, just where it needs to, an adaptive bed mesh. All right, plugging in the flash drive. Okay, just a sanity check, just to make sure there is no Sovol ACE in here, right? S is for Sovol. 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 Where the heck is Sovol? Here we go. Nope, no SV06. Okay. Oh man, what do we have to do here? Let's see what they include. Hopefully they include the profile for this. They can just import. Speaking of profiles, if you have a Bambu printer and want better profiles, I have some awesome zombie tune profiles available. Those are on my Patreon. I'll have a link down below. Help you print better. Just install them. All right. I am Orca Slicer installation manual. Oh geez, yeah, I'm in the same thing that Modbot was. So we have Orca Slicer, and then configuration guide. Oh wow, Orca Slicer, open file location. Under profiles, really? You can't just import them? Really? We have to like drag in. Like, why can't they just make like our projects? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's not how you do it. Well, I guess I'll try to go through this guide. So it says open file location. You get to go in profiles and then drag all of this stuff in. Okay, let me do that real quick. Maybe. Where is that located? Oh, it's wherever Orca Slicer is installed at. I see. And what is it doing now? Self-check complete, press start. Okay. Yay, we did it. Klipper connecting. I do want to slice something. I don't want to ever use a file that comes with a printer because who knows what they sliced it with. So that's my rule of thumb, is I try to make my own, slice my own files. MCU is a blinking LED. Plastic boat. No, we don't do plastic boats very much here. We do swatch trucks, because that's my model. Let's see. What do I have to do? Orca, where's Orca Slicer located? Right click, aha, open in file location. Okay. It is a shortcut, okay. That's not useful. Open file location, perfect, Orca Slicer. So I'm in. Software install. Let me see if I can just dual screen this for you. We have Orca Slicer, resources, and then profiles. Copy contents under printer configuration. I'm guessing this. This with the JSON into here. I should probably close out of Orca Slicer. Go away. And then I don't want to copy to a folder. Just copy to profiles. Replace. Continue. Okay. And there's another one, but it's empty. Okay. I think that's good. I don't know why that folder is empty. All right, now we're gonna reopen Orca Slicer. The frame seems quite stiff. I would not expect it to be any more stiff than this. Okay, prepare. Yeah, I've used up all my available file space. And then we'll go down to Sovol SV06 ACE. That worked. Ooh, SV06 plus ACE. SV06 plus ACE. Anyone want that printer? What size is it? I'm kind of curious now. Let's see, SV06 plus. Is it just the 300? Ooh, 300 by 300 by 350. That'll be nice. Oh, am I leaking something? It's already been leaked. It's in here. But why wouldn't they, right? All right, let's go back to the correct printer, which is the regular ACE. We're not going to touch a thing. We are not touching anything in here, but we're going to analyze it. 0.98 flow. They print at 210. A little cold, but that's okay. Max volumetric speed 15. Reasonable. Very reasonable. All right. Profile-wise, first layer height 0.25. Kind of cheating. Let's just do 0.2. I'll modify it a little bit. And then if Arachne's on, no, Arachne's off. Classic wall slicing, good. Auto wall loop direction, that's fine. A lot of stuff here you can change. Ooh, top surface flow ratio 0.8. That is weird. I do not like that. I do not like that at all. So they're over extruding on the walls and then maybe correctly or under extruding on the top surface. Oh, I really don't like that. I'll leave it. I'm not gonna touch it, but not a setting that I would enable. 2 walls, 3 and 3. I'd do 4 at least to top layers. 10% grid. You never want grid as your stock. Infill type. Speed. This is where it gets interesting. Oh, jeez. Okay. A little bit conservative for their first layer speeds. Ooh. Wow, very conservative. 30 millimeters a second for first layer outer walls, and then 40 for infill. I would do at least 60 to 80 millimeters a second, and then 3 slowdown layers. That's a lot. That's a long time. If you have a big bed that has a big flat thing on there, that is very slow. But then they have their outer wall at 200 and inner wall at 270, which is extremely fast. Their overhang speed for 1025 is 0. Like, there's a lot of stuff in here that's going to have to be tweaked. And if you're looking for a profile for this printer, I will probably post this to my Patreon because it needs some tweaking. I'll go through and print a lot of stuff on it and then post it for you. So if you want to support me, find my profiles on Patreon. And then one skirt loop. Okay, so we are going to import without changing anything. Swatch truck. Where's my swatch truck? Swatch truck shapes. This is a basic model that I developed for testing first layers and flow and detail. So it'll be a great test, actually. Slice it up with their default everything, except for the quality, which I changed to 0.2 for the first layer, because we want to see how that first layer is, and this test requires 0.2 for all layers. So it's a 10-minute print, because I'm not doing high infill. I technically can add this. Where did this go? Let's see if Klipper just works. 192.168.1.208. There's also the device UI. Let's test it. Works correctly. Okay. Let's see if we can send a print to our printer. And print. There we go. It's loaded in the printer. And we are off. We are off to the races. So overall, before we start printing, oh shoot, nope, we we forgot filament. Let's cancel that. We need some filament, don't we? Sure. Basic PLA Pro Magenta from Polymaker. You want filament? Well, I thought we were using the wireless filament. No? Is it stopped? I hit stop. Alright, let's do emergency stop. So let's see how this works. Is it smart? Will it know that we entered filament? Probably not. That's probably the one downside. Okay, it does not like being it does not like being emergency stopped. Oh dear. I might need to reset it actually. Yeah, I think I worked it. Oops. Forgot to gas up the car for a road trip. Hey, that's different. That is different, and you know it. Alright, let's insert filament. Caution, hot surface. Klipper connecting. It looks good. Okay, yeah, it's ready. Took a few seconds. Try it again. So we're gonna insert filament. Will it do anything? No. Okay. So we need to go into Filament. Load filament. So we're going to kind of stick it in and see if it grabs it. Which sometimes you'll have to kind of help it, but we'll see. Heats up pretty fast though. Look at that. That's very fast. Those Bambu style blocks, they're low mass. They heat up quick. Okay, load filament. Okay, so we are loaded. We hit confirm. It's grabbing it. Very nice so far. See, that's a good way of doing it. Except it's pressed against the bed. I don't think that's optimal to have, you know, kept the yeah, I don't think so. Let's home it and then try again. We want it to come out a little because we also want to see how well it cleans. So let's home it and then put the film in. That's what it should do. It should home it if it's not homed first before you load it. That's what I'm guessing would be optimal. Because then it should put itself in a spot that's easy to see if it's loaded. But I like this menu. It's pretty straightforward. And we have our first extrusion. We had a little bit of black in there. Interesting. And now it is extruding all over the bed. Oh, that's good. Ooh, smells like fresh filament. Interesting. I wonder if that's from the other filament, because typically Polymaker doesn't smell. But looks clean. Looks like normal, healthy poop. Always inspect your printer poop. Okay, confirm. It was loaded. Done. Easy peasy. Try to pull up the filament by hand. Make sure the tension's good. I could probably lift up the printer by that, so yeah, we're good. Yeah, this is a very nice UI. Look at this. Like, you know, pretty good. Very responsive, very clean. It would benefit from dark mode. I can reprint this print right here. I mean, this is pretty good. I like it so far. Let's see how well it prints though. Remember, this is the stock settings, so not my zombie tune settings. For $300, this thing is far more responsive than a lot of the older style bed slingers that are running Marlin. Very, very nice. In fact, I think this is better than some of the other printers I've seen. I'll say this, it's better than a P1S in terms of responsive screens. Sovol has definitely put a lot in to make this thing as good as possible, and it seems like they care. Like they want a high quality experience. So good on them. Even the motor mounts are, is that metal? Yeah, aluminum motor mounts. That's shocking. It's not shocking. I did not get shocked by the printer. And they also upgraded to 10mm rods on the Z, which will add extra stiffness. Right now, waiting for the bed to heat up. It's heating up pretty fast, honestly. Nozzle's preheating to 200C. Let's see. Is that the... is that what I'm telling it to do? First layer is 205, other layers are 210. Okay, so this must be part of the preheat macro. Oh, is that built into the slicer? Or... no, start print. Interesting. It does start print, and then it does all the G-code in the slicer. Okay. I don't think they understand how that works. but they're calling the start print macro, which probably does something, but then they're just doing the rest of it in here, which is fine. But usually you'd want to put all of this in your printer config so you can control what it does. Update it. All right, it's cleaning, which it did load filament. So yeah, you can see, oh, it pooped. Interesting. You see that? It pooped, or it purged. Weird, okay. I wonder if that's gonna knock that off too, which is interesting because it looks like it would go right behind there. So what happened? Did it try to purge there? Oh, no, that was my initial load, wasn't it? That must have been for the first time I tried loading filament. Do you think? I'm not 100% sure. Homing. We get a clean tip on there. Now, I can generally tell if a printer is going to be good or bad, and so far, everything but, you know, seeing what the actual print looks like, this is good. This is very good. It's built off of the reliability of the SV06, but with a non-nerfed Klipper install, damn. That's good. That's really good. So now after seeing this printer, I want to see this toolhead on a Core XY machine. I want the SV08 ACE. I'm calling for that right now. SV08 ACE with a proper load cell sensing hot end. That is needed. Or start adding in eddy sensors everywhere. I don't know if I've seen that implemented on non-custom printers. This printer versus A1, that is a really good question. What does an A1 sell for? There is no way to convert your SV06. This is a completely separate machine. You can Klipperize an SV06, but that will not get you the auto Z offset. But for the price, you just buy a new machine. Like, that's what you do to convert. Sell your old one for like $100 and then buy this. It'll be the same price of converting. Let's see, so the A1 is typically $340. That right there is where this becomes a challenge to recommend. Now, will the printer work and print well? Probably. Will it go on sale? Probably. But I have to compare what's out there. You know, literally sitting over there is my A1, and it's a bigger printer, hypothetically faster, with the same features, and has the ability to do multicolor printing out of the box with an add-on. Oh boy. I think the larger version of this, the 300, that's where it's really going to shine. What do you guys think? Because right now, a 220 printer, I've seen a couple of them come out, you know, newer printers that are only 220 millimeters. It's just not big enough. Can't really see the first layer, but it looks decent. Yeah, looks pretty good. Looks perfect. Pressure advance looks good. Yeah. Good so far. I will upgrade, you know, up the speeds to the first layer a little bit, and tweak a lot of the firmware settings, but so far it seems good. So I think the goal was met. The goal of taking an existing printer with maybe some existing machining and making that into a new printer. That was definitely, they did a good job with that. They did an amazing job with that. I mean, this thing is, compared to an SV06, SV06 is irrelevant now. Like, this is your entry-level printer. Like, there's no reason to buy an SV06 when this exists. You have to do manual bed leveling, manual Z offset. Just those two things alone is a pain. Plus, it has an inductive sensor that's questionable. I've actually had it crash a few times where it just didn't read the inductive sensor. Plus, improved cooling on this guy. Like, there's so many benefits to this over the SV06 regular. Soup can style leveling sucks. Oh, absolutely. Like, we're at an age where we take printer out of box and it just works. And I think that's where we're at with this. I didn't touch a thing. I did slice my own file, but I used pretty much their stock setup, minus the smaller first layer for my preference. But we'll see. We'll see how well it works. I'm guessing the flow might not be tuned properly, but that's something that kind of comes with the profile. Speeds, reasonably fast. Like, we're going fast. Noise, quite loud, but not unbearable. It's at the threshold where I'd probably want to lower it a bit. So let's check that. In the cooling, we are at 100%. Yeah, this does probably not, I don't think it needs 100%, at least when I tune it. We are going to lower the speeds a little bit, and we are going to lower that fan. I'll leave it as is for now. In fact, I guess I can lower it to see what, if it'll let me lower it, what value would be good. So right now that's at 12,000 RPM with that giant fan. That is loud. That's cool. I like the RPM readout in Klipper. Let's try 60. Oh, that is so much better. 60. We're at 8,000 RPM now. That's what I expected to be, right around 60%. And I think that'll probably cool perfectly fine, to be honest. So yeah, we'll do some testing with that too. The camera. So I can't... Oh, unknown command. Interesting. Okay, this is an issue. This is actually an issue. It does not look like they've added curve support. So all G17 and G3 commands are invalid. I wonder if that'll cause the print to fail. Because that is in, I think here. No, is it quality? It's arc support. Where even is that? Arc fitting. No, wait, it's not here. Huh. Interesting. It's being sent G3 commands somehow. Oh, I wonder. Hear me out. I wonder if it's the extruder lift type. Auto. I wonder if it's trying to do a spiral, which causes it to use the G commands. I wonder if that's what it's trying to do. Well, I will get that sorted out for sure, because that's kind of annoying. And it's probably in the lift. Yeah. I wonder, is it not Z-hopping at all? I don't think it's Z-hopping at all. Yeah, it is. It is. Weird. I don't think it's Z-hopping correctly. But I want to see that camera. I don't see a way to enable it. I'm not that good with cameras, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have OBCO installed, or at least, nope. That just goes to the default. But webcam. Snapshot URL. I have a stream URL. Let's try that. Strange that that's not integrated. Site can't be reached. Oh, that's default IP. Not 100% sure. Now I see lifting on it. I'll let it keep printing. We'll see why it did that. Oh, add webcam. Okay, so I'd hit add webcam in the slicer. Name. Okay, here it is. So, wow. Yeah, that is unusable. I don't know if that's configured incorrectly, but yikes. I'm gonna hopefully assume that that's configured incorrectly. It's a good angle if it was set up. Plastic on lens? No. Machine. Webcam. Where's the webcam config? It's not here, is it? Cam. No. I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to. Crow's Nest? Oh, cam 1. 640 by 480. Can we increase that? We can try it. You can't try until the print's done, but we can try that. It will tell you the resolutions. Where will it tell the resolutions? Oh, logs? Where do I go for that? Crow's Nest logs. From the right side of the config screen. Is it this log? I don't know what I'm looking at here. This is the settings, but is that... Um, 640? I don't know, I'm still seeing that. There's no way that that webcam is only capable of 640 by 480. No way. I highly doubt that. Well, the print's done. Let's take a look at that real quick. So it did lift on this corner here. Recovered though. First layer. I can't really ask for much better than that, honestly. Other layers. Yeah. It lifted, so. And it seems like it's doing weirdness. It's over extruding. The profile is just not set up correctly. Not at all, unfortunately. I'll never find a printer with a good stock config, so I'll be spending some time tuning that in and seeing how to make it better. But it printed. But the first layer is good, and honestly, a lot of people don't necessarily care about quality as much as I do. I can see the walls look really good just with this small test print, but very consistent extrusion on the walls there. Very, very, very good. So this is promising. Well, I'll be messing around with it some more at a later date, but yeah, we got a print off of it. It got set up. I will give this thing a pass for now, and try to tune it some more. So good. Didn't run into any major issues. Only thing that I recommend is adding removal of the foam underneath the bed in the instructions, as other people are quickly finding out. The webcam definitely needs some help. Need to figure out why it's configured as it is in Klipper, and if it could be improved upon. I really like this tool head. I think it's fantastic looking. I like the bed. The bed is ultra rigid. The whole machine itself feels just very solid, like a tank. I do have to fix the fan. I just have it removed completely. The fan broke off during initial inspection. I don't know if I snapped it or something, but it's off. It should be on. So I'll have to fix that. Otherwise, maybe I could complain that the power cable comes out the side. I don't like power cables to come out the side, because it adds width to the printer. Not terrible though. The screen mount, kind of jank. I'd like to see some 3D printed solution to make this thing a little bit more solid, because the second you put any amount of pressure, the whole thing's gonna snap. And you know how easy it is to just lean on something accidentally, or set something down, like a spool of filament. Just does not sound ideal. Yeah, way too loose for the spool holder. I don't like that. What happens is, you get a good tug going like that, and this thing just wants to unfold, and then you have one thing come out and the whole thing tangles. That was a major issue with the SV08. A lot of tangles with the way the spool mount was set up. Has some USB ports on the top, so you can plug stuff in if you need to. In fact, I'm expecting someone to just have a replacement camera mount that just goes onto here, like a C920 or something, maybe, assuming that camera is jank. The stock nozzle cleaning setup, I love that. Looks really good. So overall, yeah, once again, this is not an SV06. I don't know why they named it an SV06. Probably because it's using parts from an SV06. Maybe that's why, but this is an This is what the SV07 should have been. This is the clipperized bed slinger that the SV07 was just kind of striving to be. SV06.5. Yeah, it's very strange, their naming conventions, but if you like this video, hit that like button and leave a comment now. Do you think that this is going to replace or add to the recommended entry-level printers? Is this suitable? Do you think this is easy enough to use for, beginners? I'd say so. So far, my list is very slim. You have the AD5M from Flashforge, and now this, as well as all the Bambu bed slingers. So yay, another printer added to my list of printers to recommend. Finally, it's been very sparse. Wow. Sweet. Well, if you like this video, I have a couple of other unboxings of other videos, including the SV08. And if you'd like to see any long-term usage videos, let me know, because I typically don't do those. But if requested very, very nicely, I might be able to bring back a printer from the grave and talk about it, talk about my experience using it, etc. So leave a comment down below if you'd like to see other printers, analyzed. And are there other printers that I haven't reviewed in this channel? What would you like to see? The K2 with all the multicolor setups? Maybe that'd be a good option. All right, that's it for this video. Catch you all in another one. If you're not watching these live, I have a link in the description to join my Twitch channel. That's where I stream these. It's a lot of fun. Make sure to catch them live if you can. Otherwise, have a good night, good morning, good evening, and goodbye.